Hey, what's going on folks, and welcome to another loadout video where today we're going to have a bit of a look at the sneaky assassin loadout. So what this primarily focuses on is using the combat knife, coming up behind people, getting stealth kills, being all sneaky, all that kind of fun stuff, and I'll run through this loadout and then we'll jump into some gameplay and we'll have a bit of a talk about that. So firstly, I'm actually going to skip out on using a primary weapon and go straight to my secondary where I'm using a combat knife. Lethal, I'm going to be using a combat axe to take out people from a little bit of range that I can't quite get to with the knife. I'm going to be using two tacticals. In this case we are using the concussion grenades. Running with perk 1 Ghost, so we don't show up on UAVs. That's always handy because we're going to be moving around quite a bit, and obviously this is a stealth setup, so we want to be as hidden as we possibly can. So perk 2, I'm actually running two perks, the first one being Tracker. See a digital imprint of enemy footsteps. This helps out a lot for this setup because I want to be able to know which way people went. I want to be able to follow them and get the kill without having to guess which way they are. So that's kind of a must. The second one being Scavenger. That's going to make me pick up additional concussion grenades and combat axes when I run over dead people. The ones that I kill with my knife, that's going to restock that, which is pretty important. And perk 3, I'm going to be running with Blast Suppressor because again this is a stealthy, sneaky setup. When I'm going to be using my thrusters, I don't want to be showing up on the UAV, and I'm going to be using my thrusters quite a bit. Coming over to Specialists, there are three main ones that we can use. First one being Ruin and using Overdrive. Personally, this one's probably my favourite. It lets you catch up to people quite quickly. It makes it that much easier when you're actually charging people. Chances are you can get to them and kill them before they can fire off a few rounds. So this one is probably the best one for this loadout. The second one is Spectre using Ripper. Now this is probably the weakest of the three, and I only say that because you already have a combat knife. There's not really a huge point on having this attachment or this specialist ability, but it does come in handy sometimes. I mean, you might be able to get a kill with a combat knife and then switch to the Ripper and get a kill with that because it does have increased range. So it is, again, it's an option, but probably not the best one. Now the third option you have is running active camo with Spectre. This probably suits the loadout the most. The only problem I have with this is that it runs out quite quickly compared to how long it takes to charge. So I found that active camo, it is obviously effective, but it doesn't last very long at all, and of course you are waiting quite a long time for that to recharge. Coming over to SCORESTREAKS, I'm firstly running with the UAV because that's going to help me pinpoint people on the minimap. I'm also running with counter UAV because of course it's going to help me stay a little bit hidden, sneaky, kind of suits the little niche of this loadout. And surprisingly I'm running with Lightning Strike. Now this probably doesn't suit the loadout as much as the other two, but of course it's always nice to get some extra points on the board and a few kills with that. Now that's a basic setup of the loadout, so we'll jump into some gameplay and I'll go over a few different things to kind of help you use this to the most effective way that it possibly can be. A couple of different things that I've picked up along the way, and we'll take it from there. So the first thing I'll say is know when to use your thrusters. You're going to be using them quite a bit, whether it be to chase someone down or to get to someone when you're charging them and avoid the gunfire. So it's quite important to know when to use your power slide because most times it will help you secure the kill. And try not to make the same mistake that I tend to do all the time, is if you actually keep hitting the crouch button while you're sprinting, you won't slide, you'll just keep going up and down, up and down. So try to get that down pat where you can just hit it once and slide rather than panic hitting it, and you should be good with that. Also try to use your throwing axe as a combination with your combat knife. So if you get a kill with your knife but you're not quite in range to get someone again, remember that you do have that throwing axe. If you're a good shot, then you can maybe pick up a kill with that. Also remember that you're running Scavenger, or you can even run with two throwing axes. So if you manage to get a kill with one axe, you can always toss off the second one and hopefully get a second target. Now it's always important to remember that you have two tactical concussion grenades. So when you feel like you know someone's in a room or around the corner, remember to toss those in before you jump in, because that will stop them from getting a kill on you if they're not facing you especially. You should be able to pick off a couple of kills that way. Another little tip that I've picked up along the way is when you're playing maps with water in them, try to use this to your advantage. I actually found that a lot of the time I was going into the water and jumping out of it, both to get away from gunfire and to kind of flank the enemy. Especially this guy, he probably jumped in the water and got the fright of his life when I was out with my combat knife. Anyway, try to use it as an advantage because it definitely is a good way to avoid getting killed. Last little thing in general, probably just play safe in enclosed areas. Don't just go running around in open parts of the map where you get picked off. Try to stay in indoors or around corners and all that kind of stuff, because you want to be able to pick people off there. Again, if you pinpoint where the enemy team is and flank them, and you actually manage to get behind them, you can definitely get some kills that way. Remember that you do have thrusters, so whether you need to jump around or you need a wall run or something like that. So if you need to catch up to someone or get away from gunfire, that's always a handy little option to have. Anyway guys, that's this one done and dusted. I had a lot of fun doing this. It's probably the most enjoyable loadout I've used, especially in Black Ops 3 where you can dart around and jump and use the thrusters. It makes this set out a little bit more viable than other previous Call of Duties. And I guess you got to remember, this is probably not the most effective loadout for getting points, so don't always expect to be the top of the leaderboard. Though like I said, it is probably the most enjoyable one, so give it a try, see how you go. Might take a few matches to warm up to it, but at least give it a try and maybe it'll work for you. Anyway, until next time guys, have a lovely day and take it easy.
It was at this moment that Nathan knew. He fucked up.